My least favorite character, swear to God, is Catelyn's sister. I don't even remember her
Oh,
name.
I know who you're talking
I
about.
fucking hate her.
We're talking about Catelyn Stark's sister, Lysa Arryn.
Lysa Arryn.
Yes,
Lysa Arryn, she is the wife of
the old hand.
the old hand of the king that at the time you have no
You don't
like
know who he is or
that
anything.
fucking flies by you. Like that
Yeah,
just
you have
flies
no
by you.
idea.
Like they
That has
mentioned it.
no weight
But
to it.
anyway, Lysa Arryn and her stupid little fucking son
Oh
that
my
like sits
god.
there and he's like 14 and is still sucking on her titty.
Yeah,
I hate they come as a bundle deal.
they
I
do.
hate
He's a little
both
man
of those
child.
fucking characters so much. Yeah.
They're not meant to be likable, I would say. George R. R. Martin clearly wrote them to be not likable from the first time you ever see them, right? They're just not likable characters. But for me, my least favorite character, especially after seeing the entire show from start to finish, is Sansa Stark. I just do not like that character at all.
Damn.
You know, she was a child in season one, right? Like a legit, very, very young girl. So when she gets into the whole thing with Arya and the dire wolf and the butcher's boy, they have that little spat where Joffrey pulls out a real fucking sword and starts swinging it on the butcher's boy and tell him like, "You're gonna fight me," and the butcher's boy looking at him like, "What the hell? Like, I don't even have a real sword." Joffrey's
Also,
basically
you're
like
the fucking prince. I'm
yes,
not raising my hand to
yeah,
you.
like there was so much wrong with that dynamic, and Joffrey was just basically being a fucking bully, just a terrible human being. So that scene where all the children are brought into like the little, I guess, court, and Ned comes in, barging in, like, what's going on here? Like, why are my kids being like questioned or whatever? Like, Robert Baratheon and Cersei are really pissed. I guess Robert's are kind of like, kids are kids. But then Cersei really presses the issue in that room, and she's like, what are you gonna do about the person that mauled your son or whatever? Like, he just told this lie, and Sansa backed it. Like, she just straight up did
She
not
did.
tell. I guess what she didn't do, she didn't admit what really happened was that Joffrey like really started the whole thing. Like,
Not
Joffrey
only
fucking
did
started
she
it.
lie, not only did she lie inside with Joffrey, she fucking rolled on her family.
Yes, and I know that those two don't get along really in the beginning, but like at the end of the day, like that is still your family, and you literally traded on your sister for some fucking Joffrey's not even. I don't know. He's not even. I just. I don't know what
Some
she
boy
saw.
that she thought was cute. Like,
Yeah, I just
and
don't. I don't. I don't see it.
I don't know
Really,
if maybe I
that
just
whole
don't remember it
situation.
correctly, but I feel like that was, other than the fact everybody knows he's the prince, that was the first time she ever even saw him.
Yeah, I think it was. I
Like, they
don't.
didn't have a previous
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think that Robert Baratheon hadn't come to the North.
since he became king.
Yes, like I think that he became king like years and years and years ago. Like Ned has children that are literally in their teens. It's been decades since they've seen each other. And so she's never even seen Joffrey, but she immediately falls in love with him. She really falls in love with the idea of Joffrey though, I guess, right?
That's true.
Like we can be fair
Oh,
and
I'm
say
gonna be a
like,
princess and they'll do my hair up in the
yes,
high tower.
yes, she was
Like, she
always the
falls in love
girl.
with that
Yes,
lifestyle.
she was always the girl that like wanted to be, and Arya was like, I don't want to be that. She wasn't good at knitting or like doing any kind of embroidery work. And then like you see Sansa's work and it's like insane, right? Like she's amazing at all of the little girly things and the princessy things.
Yep.
And
And
like
they show
she,
Arya right from the gate. She hits a bullseye. Bran's like messing up with the bow and arrow and she
yeah,
hits it.
so Sansa like starts off trading on her sister, her blood, and so that's like the strike one for me. And then it just kind of like continues throughout with things that I just don't like about her. And I get it. Like she is a kid. I am not holding that part against her. It's just that at the end of the day, she also wrote a letter, forced and intimidated into writing a letter saying to Rob, like, surrender, come to, the South, and basically like plead your case that Joffrey's the king and you're going to end this rebellion or whatever. And
Yeah.
I don't know. I just hated everything about her in season one. And then it just doesn't get any better. Like she just does a lot of things throughout the show that really, really trigger me. And I don't know. I felt bad for her with the whole Ramsey situation. I don't care for that whole part of her story. Like I think that part was unnecessary because it doesn't happen to her in the books. Um, but as far as everything else, like even the way it ends, like Sansa at the end, when John is like, "Yo, I have this secret. Don't tell anyone." And she immediately goes and tells like everyone. She's like, "Oh yeah, like he's actually Targaryen. He's the rightful heir to the throne." Like that. I really just.
Yeah, because they had this whole something that was weird about the last season is that they really wanted to have this weird beef between like Daenerys and the Stark girls.
Yes, that was the thing. They were,
And it just
forcing
didn't
that on
really
us.
feel supernatural. Like it
Well, it
didn't
was
feel
rushed, right? So,
yeah.
it definitely wasn't natural. It was like immediate. It was like, oh, we're supposed to bow to her because she's this ice queen from some other foreign land. The North is its own region that doesn't have anyone ruling over, even though clearly they've been ruled over by. They were part of Seven Kingdoms. So like Sansa, this is not fucking some new thing. Like whoever rules in the South essentially rules Winterfell too, and that's how it's always been. So she actually, I don't know, she immediately just doesn't like Daenerys. It kind of gives me the whole like women don't like women vibes thing. Like that's kind of what they were going
I was
for.
going to bring that up. Yeah, and what's weird about that is Game of Thrones throughout the entire series, I think has very well written female characters. Cersei, for example, I think is one of the greatest like female characters we've had on television in a very long time. I think Marjorie, I think Marjorie's really done. Her mom, Queen Olenna, I think.
My God, I love Olenna
She
Tyrell.
is incredible. Like incredible.
She is so good.
So there's so many
extremely
like I don't think somebody could levy an argument against Game of Thrones saying like they don't have well-written female. Like I think they have great female characters.
And the women characters are also strong too. Like like even Daenerys from season 1 is like a very strong character because she starts off being sold and she like turns the situation around and she becomes like this, like the Khaleesi. She becomes the queen of these people. And they
with each season she gets more subtitles. It's like Daenerys, Queen of the Dragons, Breaker of Chains,
Mother of
like,
Dragons.
It's like what the fuck?
Yeah, she gets badass. And like pretty much like Arya, she becomes badass too, right? Like,
yes.
Brienne of Tarth.
Brienne of Tarth is amazing.
There's a ton of strong women characters. There was never in Game of Thrones like this whole like women just kind of hate women thing that was.
It never was pushed. Like, oh, women are catty because they're women. Like, and it felt like that last 2 seasons were like, well, now women are catty for no reason.
It just got like really bad.
It felt really stupid.
Yeah, it was very
like
forced.
That wasn't an honest representation of women or your characters that you wrote.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan. And so Sansa, like at the end of Game of Thrones, where she pretty much causes so much shit to go wrong with her telling her telling other people like, yo, he's actually a Targaryen, even though he said like, do not bring this up to anyone. I don't want to be the king of the throne, or I don't want that shit. Like that's just between us. But she tells, and then at the very end,
I want my brother to be king so I can be queen and blah 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 blah.
And then at the very end, when they're having like, how should we proceed going forward? Like in the future, like we're gonna have, the Seven Kingdoms is gonna be led by Bran. Well, she's like, oh, well, the North is not going to be part of that system. It's just going to be 6 kingdoms plus like the North. And I'm like, who the fuck gave you the
Who
ability?
Are you?
She just made this decision like, oh yeah, the North doesn't abide by the 6, I guess the 6 kingdoms now rule. Like Sansa, you do not have that type of power. You just don't.
The ending of Game of Thrones, it's a great example as to why I know everybody makes fun of anime and filler and padding.
Yeah.
But there's a good reason why we have filler, and that's so that we don't.
Hey guys, if you like this clip, we have full video versions of our podcast episodes available on the IMNerd Patreon, as well as exclusive content.
If you'd like to listen to our full podcast episodes or find us on any other social media platforms, you can do so by clicking the link tree below.